I never thought taking my son to the playground would completely upend my carefully constructed life. Sam, my 4-year-old, squealed with pure joy as I gave him another push on the swing. His laughter, so clear, so unburdened, was everything to me. Just the two of us. It had always been that way since the divorce finalized. Me, Sam, and the small routine we'd built together like a fortress against the world. But today felt different. Though I couldn't quite pinpoint why. The swing beside us creaked as someone pushed their child. A little girl, probably around Sam's age. At first I didn't pay attention. Parents were everywhere here, lost in their own worlds. But when the man spoke, his voice stopped me cold. Higher. Lily? You sure? That voice. Deep, measured, impossibly familiar in a way that made my stomach drop. I glanced sideways, and my heart seized. Tailored black jacket, sharp jawline, dark hair styled perfectly even in this casual weekend setting. Everything about him screamed expensive, controlled, unreachable. Alexander Hale, my CEO, the man whose signature appeared on company-wide memos, the man I'd only seen from across crowded conference rooms or in the elevator when I tried to make myself invisible. Here, at a neighborhood playground, pushing a swing like he wasn't the most intimidating person in the entire Meridian Tech building. I quickly turned my face away, praying he wouldn't notice me. But Sam, bless his fearless, loud spirit, had other plans. Daddy, higher, like that girl. Sam, shh, why? I want to go that high. He pointed directly at Lily, who was giggling as her swing soared. Alexander's gaze shifted, and he saw me. For exactly 3 seconds, the entire world froze. His hand paused mid-push. My breath caught somewhere in my chest. His expression was completely unreadable. Not shocked, not annoyed. Just processing this unexpected collision of two separate worlds. Then he blinked. You work at Meridian, don't you? Oh God. He actually recognized me. I was just another face in the marketing department, someone who sat in the back of all hands meetings and never spoke up. Yes, sir. Marketing department. I managed, trying desperately to sound professional despite wearing old jeans and a faded hoodie. Alexander's fine. His tone remained calm, but his gaze was sharp, assessing. I didn't expect to run into anyone from the office here. Same, I muttered, feeling heat crawl up my neck and settle in my cheeks. Lily giggled again as he resumed pushing her swing, completely oblivious to the strange tension crackling between the two adults standing just feet apart. Sam tugged insistently on my sleeve. Daddy, who's that? Just someone from work, baby. Alexander's eyes flickered down to Sam, then back to me. Something shifted in his expression, softer somehow, almost curious. Your son? Yeah. I didn't elaborate. Didn't feel the need to explain my entire life story to my boss at a playground. He nodded slowly, studying Sam's face. He has your smile. I didn't know how to respond to that. Was it a compliment? Just an observation? Was the CEO of my company really making small talk with me while our kids played on swings? Lily looks like you too, I said awkwardly, immediately cringing at how forced it sounded. Alexander almost smiled. Almost. She's my niece. I'm just babysitting today. Oh, that made more sense somehow. Right. Of course. My face was definitely burning now. We stood there side by side, pushing swings in uncomfortable silence. It should have been normal. 2 adults. 2 kids, a sunny Saturday afternoon at the park. But every second felt weighted, loaded with awareness, because Alexander Hale wasn't supposed to be human. He wasn't supposed to smile at a child, wear casual clothes, or stand this close to me outside the sterile glass walls of the office. Sam shattered the silence again. Daddy, can I play with her? Before I could answer, Lily shouted enthusiastically. Yes, let's go to the slide. Both kids jumped off their swings and sprinted toward the jungle gym, laughing and already chattering like old friends. And suddenly it was just me and Alexander, standing there, alone. He turned to face me fully, sliding his hands into his pockets. So you're a single parent? I looked at him startled. How could he possibly know that? Yeah. How did you said just us when your son asked who I was. He shrugged lightly. Wasn't difficult to piece together. I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly dry. It's been 4 years, just me and Sam. He watched me for a moment longer than felt casual. Then his voice dropping to something almost too soft. He said something I never expected. That takes real strength. I didn't know what to say. My boss, my untouchable, intimidating CEO, was standing at a playground telling me I was strong. The absurdity of it all made my head spin. I started gesturing vaguely toward where the kids were playing. Right, of course. He nodded, but made no move to leave. We walked slowly toward the jungle gym, maintaining a careful distance between us. Sam and Lily were already climbing together, helping each other reach higher bars, completely absorbed in their own little world. They're getting along well, Alexander observed. Yeah. Sam doesn't usually warm up to people this quickly. Lily either. He paused. She's shy around most kids. We watched them play for a few minutes. The silence less awkward now, but still charged with something I couldn't name. I became hyper-aware of everything. The way he stood, the subtle scent of his cologne, the way his jaw tightened slightly when Lily climbed too high. How old is she? I asked, just to fill the silence. 4. Just turned 4 last month. Sam's 4 too. October baby. Lily's September. More silence. But it felt easier now, like we were finding our rhythm in this bizarre situation. Sam called out again, "Daddy, watch this," and proceeded to hang upside down from a bar, his face turning red with effort and pride. "Careful, baby," I called back, my heart jumping slightly. Alexander glanced at me. "You're a warrior. Occupational hazard of single parenting. Fair enough." He watched Lily attempt the same upside-down trick. "I'm learning that myself. Every time I have her for the weekend, I discover new things to worry about." There was something in his voice, a vulnerability I'd never heard in any board meeting or company presentation. It made him seem less like the untouchable CEO and more like just another person trying his best. "It gets easier," I offered. "The worrying never stops, but you get better at managing it." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something passed between us. Understanding, maybe, recognition that we were both navigating complicated waters. "Good to know," he said quietly. The moment stretched, and I realized with startling clarity that I should leave. Should grab Sam, make polite excuses, and get as far away from this situation as possible. But I didn't move, and neither did he. Sam and Lily continued playing on the jungle gym, their laughter carrying across the playground as I stood frozen in this surreal moment. Alexander Hale was still beside me, relaxed in a way I'd never seen at the office, and the strangeness of it all made my pulse race. "Daddy, I'm thirsty." Sam's voice cut through my spiraling thoughts. "Perfect. An escape route. We should probably head out," I began. "There's a cafe across the street," Alexander interrupted, already glancing in that direction. "I was planning to take Lily there anyway. You're welcome to join us." It wasn't phrased as a command, not an invitation from my boss to his subordinate, just a simple suggestion from one parent to another. But my heart hammered against my ribs anyway. "I don't want to intrude on your time." "You're not." His gaze remained steady as he watched Lily slide down beside Sam. "Besides, they've clearly become friends. Separating them now would cause a scene." He had a point. Sam and Lily were already holding hands, chattering excitedly about something only they understood. If I dragged Sam away now, he'd be devastated. "Okay," I agreed before my brain could construct a reasonable objection. "But just for a quick drink." Alexander nodded, and something in that small gesture unsettled me. Like this wasn't just a casual coffee stop. Like it meant something more. The cafe was smaller than I expected, tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop. Large windows overlooked the park, wooden tables scattered throughout, and the rich aroma of fresh coffee filled the air. Alexander ordered chocolate milk for Lily, while I got apple juice for Sam. When we reached the counter, Alexander already had his card out. "I can pay for my own," I protested. "It's fine," he said without looking at me. "Consider it a playground encounter tax." I frowned, confused. "A what?" "For our kids forcing us into awkward social situations," he explained, and then he smiled. Not the polite, professional smile I glimpsed in meetings. The real smile. The kind that transformed his entire face, reaching his eyes and making him look younger, more approachable, devastatingly attractive. My stomach flipped dangerously. We claimed a corner table near the window. Sam and Lily immediately grabbed the coloring sheets and crayons the cafe provided, spreading their artwork across the entire surface. which left me sitting across from Alexander, acutely aware of every breath, every movement. Alexander sipped his black coffee while I focused intensely on my caramel latte, avoiding direct eye contact. "So," he began, stirring his coffee with deliberate slowness. "How long have you been at Meridian?" "Almost 3 years. Marketing, you said." He leaned forward slightly, genuinely engaged. I nodded. "Content strategy, mostly internal campaigns and employee engagement initiatives." "Ah." He paused, considering. "I remember approving budget increases for that department last quarter." Of course he remembered. He probably approved hundreds of budgets and forgot them immediately, but the way he said it made it sound personal, like he'd specifically recalled my department. "We used it for the new employee engagement app," I explained. "It's been helping with internal communication." "I know. The feedback has been positive." His eyes met mine, holding my gaze. "Good work." My brain stuttered. The CEO just complimented my work directly, outside any formal review process or email chain. "Thank you, sir." "Alexander," he corrected again, his voice gentle but firm. "Right. Alexander." His name felt foreign on my tongue. Too intimate. Too much like we were peers when we absolutely weren't. He took another sip, and I noticed him hesitating, like he was debating whether to say something. Finally, he spoke. "Lily's mother passed away 2 years ago. My brother, her father, is still deployed overseas. Military. So I take her most weekends when I can." Oh, the weight of that revelation settled heavily between us. This wasn't small talk anymore. This was real, vulnerable, human. "I'm sorry," I said, meaning it completely. "That must be incredibly difficult for everyone." "It was hardest at first." His voice dropped, losing its professional edge. "But Lily adapted. Children are more resilient than we give them credit for." He glanced at her, watching as she showed Sam had to color inside the lines. "She keeps me grounded, reminds me there's life beyond quarterly reports and shareholder meetings." I understood that more deeply than he could know. Sam does that for me too. After the divorce, everything fell apart. He was the only constant that made sense. Alexander looked at me then, truly looked at me, and something fundamental shifted. Like he was seeing past the nervous employee and recognizing someone who understood loss, responsibility, and fighting to hold things together. "Single parenting is brutal," he said simply. "It is. But they make it worthwhile." They do. For a moment we just existed in that shared understanding. 2 men carrying more weight than showed on the surface. 2 people trying their best for the children depending on them. Sam's voice suddenly rang out. "Daddy, look. I drew our house." I leaned over to examine his drawing, a simple rectangle with a bright red door and 2 stick figures holding hands. One tall and one small. "That's beautiful, baby." Lily beamed proudly. "I drew Uncle Alex's office building." She held up her paper, revealing a tall building with countless windows and a tiny stick figure positioned at the very top. Alexander's expression softened in a way I'd never witnessed. "Very accurate, Lily. Though I don't always work at the top." She giggled. "Yes, you do. You're the boss of everything." Sam looked at Alexander with wide, impressed eyes. "You're a boss? Like a superhero boss?" Alexander actually chuckled, a warm, genuine sound. "Not quite a superhero. Just someone who has to make many decisions every day." "That sounds really hard," Sam said with complete seriousness. "Sometimes it is," Alexander admitted, still smiling. Sam nodded solemnly, absorbing this important information, then returned to his coloring. Lily joined him, and both children disappeared back into their creative world. Alexander turned to me. "He's remarkably sweet." "He is. Sometimes too sweet. I worry the world will be too harsh for someone with such a gentle heart." "The world needs gentle hearts," Alexander said quietly, "and parents who care enough to protect them." Something in his tone made my chest constrict. This wasn't CEO rhetoric. This was authentic, unguarded, real. The children continued coloring, and Alexander and I settled into silence again. But this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt natural, easy, like we'd known each other much longer than just an hour. And that realization terrified me more than anything, because comfortable meant dangerous. Comfortable meant I could start depending on this, and depending on Alexander Hale, my boss. Someone completely beyond my reach was the absolute last thing I could afford. But as I watched him smile at something Lily said, Watched the way he relaxed in this simple moment. I suspected it might already be too late. Monday morning arrived like a slap of cold water. The office hummed with its usual energy. Keyboards clicking in steady rhythm, phones ringing constantly, the coffee machine gurgling in the break room. But something had fundamentally changed for me. Every time I passed the executive floor or saw Alexander's name in an email, I no longer saw just my CEO. I saw the man who ordered chocolate milk for his niece, who listened patiently to Sam's rambling questions, who told me I was doing well, not as an employee but as a human being. Luther, are you even present right now? Kira, my desk neighbor, waved her hand in front of my face. She clutched a coffee mug and wore that knowing expression, the one that said she'd already figured out something was different. Sorry, rough weekend. I lied, refocusing on my blank screen. Clearly, she smirked, settling back in her chair. You've been staring at absolutely nothing for 10 minutes straight. What happened? Finally went on that dating app I suggested? No. I forced a laugh. Just Sam had a playdate that completely exhausted me. She looked unconvinced, but mercifully her phone rang and she got distracted. I exhaled slowly, trying to shake the unsettled feeling in my gut. It was just coffee. Just two parents making conversation while their kids played. Nothing worth obsessing over. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. This is Alexander. Lily hasn't stopped talking about Sam since Saturday. She wants to know if he'd like another playdate this weekend. Let me know. I stared at the screen, my heart rate accelerating. How did he get my number? Company directory. Of course. He had access to everything. My hands trembled slightly as I typed a response. Me. Sam would love that. He's been asking about Lily constantly. 3 dots appeared immediately. Alexander, good. I'll send details. Same park, or would you prefer somewhere different? Me. Same park works perfectly. Saturday at 10, Alexander, perfect. See you then. I set my phone down, pulse racing. Kira leaned over, eyebrow raised. Who's making you smile like that? Nobody, I said too quickly. Liar. She grinned. But fine. Keep your mysteries. I turned back to my computer, but my mind had already jumped ahead to Saturday. And this time, I couldn't pretend this was solely about the kids. The rest of the week crawled by with excruciating slowness. Work continued normally. Meetings, deadlines, presentations. But every time I passed near the executive floor, my heart would start pounding. Wednesday afternoon, I was preparing coffee in the break room when Alexander walked in. Time seemed to stop. He wore a full suit, dark navy, impeccably tailored, clearly coming from an important meeting. But when he spotted me, he paused. Luther, sir, I mean Alexander. I nearly dropped my coffee cup. He approached the coffee machine, standing close enough that I caught the subtle scent of his cologne. Expensive. Understated. How's Sam doing? He asked casually while pouring himself a cup. Good. Really excited about Saturday. Lily too. He glanced at me and that brief look contained something decidedly unprofessional. She made me promise multiple times that we're actually going. I smiled despite my nervousness. Sam did exactly the same thing. For a moment we simply stood there, two men making coffee, having an ordinary conversation. But in the office context, this wasn't ordinary. This was strange. Risky. Alexander. Someone called from the hallway. Conference room in 5 minutes. He sighed. Duty calls. Of course. He started to leave, then stopped. Turned back. Luther. Yes? I'm glad we ran into each other at the park. Before I could formulate a response, he was gone. And I stood there, coffee cup trembling in my hand, trying to process what just happened. Kira materialized out of nowhere. Was that Alexander Hale? Actually talking to you? In the regular employee break room? He was just getting coffee. Luther. She grabbed my arm firmly. The CEO doesn't casually get coffee in the standard employee break room. What's happening? Nothing, I said firmly. We just happened to run into each other over the weekend. Our kids played together. Her eyes widened dramatically. Wait, that's who you had the playdate with? It wasn't really, it was just I groaned. It's not what you're thinking. Uh-huh. She was grinning now. Whatever you say. I returned to my desk, face burning, because truthfully, I didn't know what this was anymore. Friday afternoon, another text arrived. Alexander, change of plans for tomorrow. Lily wants to visit the Children's Museum instead of the park. Would that work for Sam? Me, he'd absolutely love that. What time? Alexander, 10:30. I'll meet you at the entrance. Me, see you there. I set my phone down and reality hit me. This was the third weekend in a row. 3 consecutive weekends of seeing Alexander outside work. Of our children playing together. Of conversations that felt increasingly personal. And it was becoming a routine. A routine I looked forward to far more than I should. I glanced around the office, at my desk covered in projects, at Kira typing away, at the ordinary Monday through Friday life I'd carefully constructed. Safe, predictable, manageable. And then I thought about Saturday. About seeing Alexander smile at something silly, Lily said. About the way he looked at me like I was worth paying attention to. My phone buzzed again. Alexander, looking forward to it. 3 simple words that made my stomach flip. I typed back quickly before I could overthink it. Me too. And as I hit send, I realized I'd crossed some invisible line. This wasn't just about the kids anymore. This wasn't just casual weekend encounters. This was something else entirely. Something that excited me and terrified me in equal measure. I looked at my computer screen, at the reports waiting to be finished, at the safe, boring stability of my professional life. And for the first time in 4 years, I wanted something different. Something dangerous. Something real, even if I had absolutely no idea where it might lead. Saturday morning began with Sam launching himself onto my bed at 7 a.m., as he did every weekend without fail. "Daddy, is it museum day yet?" "Not for 3 more hours, baby." He groaned with theatrical frustration and flopped onto my pillow, kicking his small feet against the mattress in protest. I smiled despite the nervous energy coursing through me. Why was I nervous? This was just another playdates. For the children. Nothing beyond that. But when we arrived at the museum entrance and I spotted Alexander wearing casual dark jeans and a simple gray sweater, holding Lily's hand, something in my chest constricted painfully. He looked completely different from the imposing CEO who commanded boardrooms and made million-dollar decisions. Just a man. A tired, attractive man doing his best to make a little girl happy. "Sam!" Lily squealed and both children rushed toward each other. Alexander walked over to me, sliding his hands into his pockets. Hey. Silence stretched between us. Suddenly awkward. Then he smiled. That genuine smile I'd first seen at the cafe, and the tension dissolved. "Ready for complete chaos?" he asked, gesturing toward the museum entrance where children were already running wild. "Always," I replied. The museum sprawled before us with interactive exhibits and colorful displays. Children's laughter echoed from every direction. Sam and Lily immediately sprinted toward the dinosaur section, shrieking with excitement. Alexander and I followed at a distance, close enough to supervise but far enough for private conversation. "So," Alexander began, watching Lily attempt to roar like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, "how was your week?" "Busy. Yours?" "Same." He paused, glancing sideways at me. Though I kept thinking about today, my heart stuttered. Yeah. His voice dropped lower. "It's refreshing. Doing something completely normal. Away from the office." "You don't do this often?" "No." He sighed heavily. "Work consumes most of my time. Lily's the only reason I even take weekends off anymore. Before she came into my life, I worked 7 days a week without question." I looked at him, genuinely surprised. "That sounds incredibly lonely." It was. He met my eyes directly. "Still is, sometimes." There was something raw in his admission. Something vulnerable he probably never shared with anyone. "I understand that," I said quietly. After the divorce, it was just me and Sam. No friends nearby, no family support, just us against everything. That must have been brutal. It was. I watched Sam climb onto a replica dinosaur egg. But he made it worthwhile. He still does. Alexander nodded slowly, then said something that caught me off guard. "You're different than I thought." I turned to face him. "What do you mean?" "At work you're quiet. Reserved. I barely notice you in meetings." He stopped walking, turning to face me completely. "But here, you're more yourself. More open." "I didn't think you noticed me at work," I admitted, feeling heat rise in my face. His eyes darkened slightly. "I notice far more than you think, Luther." The way he said my name, slow, deliberate, weighted, made my breath catch. This wasn't CEO and employee anymore. This was something entirely different. "Alexander, Daddy, Uncle Alex, come see this." Lily's shout shattered the moment. Alexander exhaled slowly, his jaw tightening. Yeah. We walked toward the kids, but the atmosphere between us had fundamentally shifted. Heavier, more charged with awareness. An hour later, we sat in the museum cafe while the kids demolished chicken nuggets and fries. Alexander had barely touched his sandwich, instead watching Lily and Sam with a soft expression I'd never seen him wear. They're really good together, I observed. They are. He smiled genuinely. Lily doesn't have many friends. My brother relocates constantly for work, so she's never anywhere long enough to form lasting friendships. Sam experiences the same thing. Daycare children come and go constantly. He's never really had a best friend before. Alexander looked at me meaningfully. Until now. Yeah. Until now. A pause stretched between us. Then Alexander said something that made my entire world tilt on its axis. I'm glad we met, Luther. That day at the park, I almost didn't go. I was exhausted, had dozens of emails waiting for responses. But Lily insisted. He smiled faintly. That decision I didn't actually make. I didn't know how to respond. My throat felt impossibly tight. I'm glad too, I whispered. His gaze remained on me for several beats too long. Then he looked away, clearing his throat. We should probably leave soon. Lily has a bedtime routine she takes very seriously. I laughed. Sam too. If we're even 5 minutes late, he has a complete meltdown. We gathered the children, and as we walked toward the exit, Sam grabbed my hand. Daddy, can we do this again next week? We'll see, baby. Please? Lily joined in, looking up at Alexander with those enormous, pleading eyes. Alexander glanced at me. What do you think? And there it was again. That question. That choice. Yeah, I said, unable to stop myself. Next week sounds perfect. Sam and Lily cheered enthusiastically and Alexander smiled. Relieved, happy, genuine. But as we said goodbye and headed to our separate cars, I couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed. We'd crossed a line, maybe not physically, but emotionally? We were already far too deep. The following week felt markedly different from every week before it. Alexander remained the CEO. I remained a marketing employee. But whenever we encountered each other at the office, in the elevator, the hallway, the break room, there would be a single second of eye contact. A small nod. A smile that nobody else seemed to notice. But I noticed. And he noticed. And these tiny moments made my heart race faster than any meeting or deadline ever had. Wednesday afternoon, Kira cornered me at my desk. Okay, spill everything. What? I didn't look up from my screen. You've been smiling at your phone constantly all week. And don't pretend I didn't see Alexander Hale actually smile at you in the elevator yesterday. My face burned. He was just being polite. Luther. She crossed her arms firmly. I've worked here for 5 years. I've never seen that man smile at anyone. Ever. Well, maybe you're not paying close enough attention. She narrowed her eyes but didn't push further. Just be careful. Okay? There's nothing to be careful about, I said. But deep down, I knew she was absolutely right. Friday afternoon, another text arrived. But this time, it wasn't about a playdate. Alexander, Lily's birthday is next Saturday. Small party at my place. She wants Sam there. You're invited too. I stared at my phone screen. His place? His actual home? Me? Are you sure? I don't want to intrude on family time. Alexander. You're not intruding. Lily specifically asked for Sam. And honestly, I'd like you there too. Oh. All. Me? Then we'll be there. What time? Alexander. 2 p.m. I'll send you the address. I set my phone down with trembling hands. This was different. This wasn't a neutral public space like a park or museum. This was his home. His personal sanctuary. And he wanted me there. Saturday arrived far too quickly. Alexander's apartment occupied the top floor of a sleek high-rise downtown. Exactly what I'd expected. Modern architecture, minimalist design, expensive furnishings, floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the entire city skyline. Sam's eyes went wide when we stepped inside. Whoa. Daddy, is this where rich people live? I laughed nervously. Sam. Shh, it's perfectly fine. Alexander said, smiling as he closed the door behind us. And yes, Sam. But don't tell anyone. It's our secret. Sam giggled delightedly. Lily rushed up immediately, wearing a sparkly princess dress. Sam, come see my room. I have a castle bed. The two disappeared down the hallway, leaving me standing alone in Alexander's massive living room. He emerged from the kitchen carrying 2 glasses. Wine. I'm driving. Right. He set 1 glass down. Water then. Yeah. Thanks. He handed me the glass, and our fingers brushed for half a second. It shouldn't have felt significant. But it absolutely did. Where's everyone else? I asked, glancing around the empty apartment. My brother's flight got delayed. A couple friends are coming later. For now, he shrugged. Just us. Just us. The words hung heavy in the air, weighted with unspoken meaning. I took a sip of water, trying to calm my racing pulse. Your place is really beautiful. Thanks. He leaned against the kitchen counter, watching me. It's too large, honestly. But Lily enjoys it when she stays over. How often does she stay? Every other weekend. Sometimes more frequently, if my brother's deployment runs longer than expected. I nodded, suddenly realizing the enormous responsibility he carried. CEO of a major corporation, and essentially a part-time parent to a young child. That's a tremendous amount of responsibility, I said quietly. It is. His voice softened considerably. But she makes it easier, gives me something meaningful to care about outside of work. Our eyes met across the space. And then he moved closer. Not much. Just a single step. But enough that my breath hitched noticeably. Luther, can I ask you something? Of course. He hesitated, his jaw tightening visibly. Why did you really come today? My heart pounded. Lily invited Sam. That's not what I'm asking. His voice dropped lower, more careful. I'm asking why you came. I swallowed hard. Because you invited me. And if I hadn't? He took another step closer. Would you have wanted to come anyway? I couldn't lie anymore. Not to him. Not to myself. Yes. His eyes flashed with something: relief? Desire? I couldn't identify it. Good, he said quietly. 'Cause I've been looking forward to this all week. Before I could formulate a response, Lily and Sam came running back, laughing loudly. Daddy, can we have cake now? Lily asked eagerly. Alexander stepped back smoothly, breaking the moment. Of course, sweetheart. Let me prepare it. He walked toward the kitchen, and I stood there frozen, trying to process what had just happened. Because Alexander had just admitted something crucial. Something that confirmed what I'd been too frightened to acknowledge. This wasn't just about the kids anymore. The party unfolded pleasantly. Alexander's friends arrived. Nice people who made polite conversation but remained largely unmemorable. They admired Lily's presence, ate cake, and left within 2 hours. By 8 p.m., Sam had fallen asleep on Alexander's leather couch, exhausted from playing. Lily was already tucked into her bed down the hall, and Alexander and I were alone again. I stood by the couch, looking down at Sam's peaceful sleeping face. I should get him home, where you could stay a little longer. Alexander's voice was soft, almost hesitant. I turned. He was leaning against the doorway, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. Alexander, we can't. I know. He crossed the room slowly, deliberately. I know all the reasons this is a terrible idea. Then why? Because I don't care anymore. His voice turned raw, honest, completely unguarded. For once in my life, I don't want to think about what's logical or professional or appropriate. I just want— What? I breathed, my heart pounding so hard I thought he must hear it. He stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could feel his warmth radiating, close enough that I could see the conflict playing across his features. You? He said simply. I just want you, Luther. My hands trembled. Alexander, I have a son. A job I absolutely cannot afford to lose. A life that's barely stable as it is. I can't afford to mess this up. I'm not asking you to mess anything up. His hand lifted slowly, hesitating near my face before finally brushing my cheek. I'm asking you to let me be part of it. Your life. Sam's life. All of it. You're my boss. I whispered, even as I leaned involuntarily into his touch. Not here. His thumb traced along my jawline. Gently. Here, I'm just Alexander. A man who can't stop thinking about you. God, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to release every logical reason why this was dangerous. This is insane, I said weakly. I know. We barely know each other outside of parks and museums. Then let's change that. His other hand came up, cradling my face now. Let me take you to dinner. Let me get to know you. Really know you. Not as my employee. As Luther. as the man who makes me feel something genuine for the first time in years. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. Every logical part of my brain screamed to walk away, to protect Sam, my job, my fragile stability. But my heart, my foolish, hopeful heart, was so much louder. "Okay," I whispered, opening my eyes to meet his gaze. His eyes widened. "Okay, yeah." I released a shaky breath. "Let's try. But we have to be extremely careful. For Sam, for both our jobs, we will be." His smile was soft, genuine, devastating. "I promise." And then, slowly, giving me every possible chance to pull away, he leaned in. The kiss was soft, careful, like he was afraid I'd vanish if he pushed too hard. But I didn't vanish. I kissed him back, my hands gripping his shirt, allowing myself to feel something I'd locked away for so long. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "I've wanted to do that since the cafe," he admitted. I laughed breathlessly. "Me too." He pulled me close. Not another kiss, just an embrace. Safe, warm. "Right, we'll figure this out," he murmured into my hair. "One step at a time." And in that moment, with Sam sleeping nearby and Alexander's arms around me, I let myself believe him. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe we'd have to hide, sneak around, keep this quiet until we figured out what it even was. But for the first time in years, I was willing to risk it, because sometimes the best things in life were the ones you never saw coming. And Alexander Hale? He was definitely something I never saw coming. 3 weeks passed in a blur of stolen moments and careful choreography. We were cautious at the office, almost painfully so. No lingering glances in meetings. No unnecessary conversations in hallways. We maintained perfect professional distance where anyone could observe. But the weekends belonged to us. Saturday mornings became our routine. Museums, parks, aquariums, anywhere the kids could play while we talked. Really talked. About everything and nothing. I learned that Alexander hated coffee but drank it anyway because it was expected. That he'd wanted to be an architect before his father pressured him into business. That he read poetry late at night when he couldn't sleep. He learned that I'd once dreamed of being a writer. That Sam's middle name was after my grandfather. That I still cried sometimes when I thought about my failed marriage. We were building something. Slowly, carefully, but the secrecy was eating at me. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything shifted. I was in a strategy meeting, barely paying attention when my phone vibrated. "Alexander, can you come to my office after this meeting? We need to talk." My stomach dropped. Those 4 words, "we need to talk," never preceded anything good. I spent the rest of the meeting spiraling. Was he ending this? Had someone found out? Was I being fired? When the meeting finally ended, I walked to the executive floor on shaking legs. Alexander's assistant waved me through without question, which somehow made it worse. I knocked on his door. "Come in." He was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city. He didn't turn when I entered. "Close the door," he said quietly. I did, my heart hammering. Silence stretched for what felt like hours. "Alexander, I can't do this anymore," he said, still not turning around. My world stopped. "What this? Hiding. Pretending." He finally turned to face me and his expression was tortured. "I can't keep pretending you're just another employee when—" He stopped, jaw clenching. "When you what?" I whispered. "When I'm falling in love with you." The world tilted violently. "Alexander, I know." He crossed the room quickly. "I know it's too fast. I know it's complicated. I know every single reason why this is impossible. But I can't keep lying to myself anymore." I couldn't breathe. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to stop hiding. I want to take you to dinner, a real dinner in public. I want to hold your hand without looking over my shoulder. I want Sam to know that I care about his father as more than just a weekend friend." "You'll lose everything," I said desperately. "The board, the shareholders, they'll crucify you for dating an employee. Then I'll quit." I stared at him. "What? I'll resign. Step down as CEO. I have enough saved to never work again. I'll—" "Stop." I grabbed his arms. "You can't throw away everything you've built for me. I won't let you." "Then what do you suggest?" His voice cracked. "Because I can't keep doing this halfway. I can't keep pretending I don't want more." I didn't have an answer. Because I wanted more too, desperately. "Luther." He cupped my face gently. "Tell me what you want. Really want." "I want you. I admitted, the words tumbling out. I want Sunday mornings where we don't have to plan everything around secrecy. I want Sam to know you're important to me. I want stop being terrified every time someone looks at us too long. Then let's do it. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. His thumbs brushed my cheeks. We tell HR. We disclose the relationship. You transfer to a different department so I'm not your direct supervisor. We follow every rule, every protocol. We do this the right way. People will talk. Let them. They'll say I slept my way into a promotion. Then I'll make sure you earn every single accolade on your own merits. His eyes blazed with conviction. I'll recuse myself from anything involving your career. You'll report to someone else entirely. There won't be even a hint of favoritism. I wanted to believe it could work. Wanted it so badly. What about Sam? I asked quietly. What if this doesn't work out? What if we try and fail? He's already attached to you. To Lily. If we break up, we won't. You can't know that. You're right. I can't. He rested his forehead against mine. But I can promise I'll fight for this. For us. Every single day. I can promise that I'll never walk away out exhausting every option first. Tears burned my eyes. This is terrifying. I know, I could lose everything. So could I. He pulled back to look at me directly. But losing you without even trying? That terrifies me more. I closed my eyes, weighing everything. My job. My stability. Sam's happiness. And then I thought about the past 3 weeks. About laughing until my stomach hurt. About Alexander reading bedtime stories to Sam. About feeling less alone than I had in years. Okay. I whispered. His breath caught. Okay? Yeah. I opened my eyes. Let's do this. The right way. No hiding. His smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. Really? Really? But we do everything by the book. HR disclosure, department transfer, everything. Absolutely. Whatever it takes, and we tell Sam. Soon. Before he hears it from someone else. Of course, I took a shaky breath. This is either the best decision I've ever made or the worst. Let's make sure it's the best. He kissed me softly, carefully, like I was something precious. When we pulled apart, he was still smiling. I should probably get back to work, I said reluctantly. Before someone notices I've been gone too long. Right. Professional distance until we file the paperwork. When do you want to tell HR? Tomorrow morning. First thing. I'll schedule a meeting with the head of HR personally. My stomach flipped nervously. Okay. Tomorrow. He walked me to the door, maintaining careful distance now. But just before I left, he caught my hand briefly. Luther? Yeah? Thank you for taking a chance on this. On us. I squeezed his hand once before releasing it. Thank you for being worth the risk. That evening I sat Sam down for the most important conversation of his young life. Sam, baby, I need to talk to you about something important. He looked up from his toys, suddenly serious. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart. Nothing like that. I pulled him onto my lap. You know how you've been playing with Lily every weekend? Yeah. She's my best friend. I know, and you know her Uncle Alex? Yeah. He's really nice. And he knows everything about dinosaurs. I smiled despite my nerves. Well, here's the thing. Uncle Alex and I have become very good friends too. And we'd like to spend more time together. All 4 of us. Sam's eyes went wide. Like a family? The question hit me harder than expected. Kind of like a family. Yeah, would Uncle Alex be my other daddy? Oh God. I wasn't prepared for this conversation. Not exactly. He'd be... I struggled for the right words. He'd be someone very special to both of us. Someone who cares about you very much. Sam considered this seriously. Would we still have our special daddy-son days? Always. Those will never change. Okay? He nodded decisively. Then I like Uncle Alex being part of our family. Relief flooded through me. You're sure? Yeah. He's fun. And he makes you smile lots. I hugged him tightly. I love you so much, you know that? I love you too, Daddy. He squirmed out of my embrace. Can we call Uncle Alex and tell him? I laughed. Yeah, baby. We can call him. I pulled out my phone and dialed Alexander's number. He answered on the first ring. Luther? Everything okay? Yeah. Someone here wants to talk to you. I handed the phone to Sam. Uncle Alex. Daddy says you're part of our family now. When can we have another playdate? Can Lily come over to our house? I listened to Sam's excited chatter. my heart full. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe we were moving too fast. Maybe there would be challenges and obstacles I couldn't even imagine yet. But as I watched my son's face light up with pure joy, I knew we'd made the right choice. Sometimes the best things in life were worth the risk. And Alexander Hale? He was definitely worth every risk.